A long time ago, when the Red Ribbon Army was still around, they were led by Commander Red. However, they were defeated by a young child named Goku. Their head scientist, Dr. Gero, escaped and made the androids in Cell years later. Commander Red's son, Magenta, spent his time trying to bring the Red Ribbon Army back by using Red Pharmaceuticals as a front company. 9 years after the defeat of Babidi, Magenta and Carmine, his second in command, learned of Dr. Gero's grandson, Dr. Hedo, though he is currently in prison. When Dr. Hedo was released from prison, Carmine and Magenta pulled up in a car and invited him in, though he already knew who they were, as he used Hachimaru, a spy robot, to trail them after he first seen Carmine at the prison. Regardless, after he gets in the car, Magenta proposes that he should come work for them. He was reluctant to do so, since he knew that Red Pharmaceuticals was the Red Ribbon Army, and his grandfather's connection to the Red Ribbon Army caused trouble for himself and his parents. Though he is also a superhero fan, so he doesn't agree with their goal of world domination. Carmine tried to threaten him with a gun, but he revealed he injected himself with a serum to be bulletproof, and he reveals that Hachimaru carries the lethal poison. So, Magenta appeals to his heroism by saying that Castle Corporation is hiding a group of aliens who want to take over the world themselves, and he mentions that the androids in Cell were made to stop them. He then shows Dr. Hedo footage of Goku killing Vegeta. So, as they arrived at Red Pharmaceuticals, he agreed to assist them in creating the ultimate android superheroes. 6 months later, Piccolo was training Pan in the woods near his house. She wanted to learn how to fly, but she couldn't do so yet. Piccolo told her not to worry about it, as it would come to her. Regardless, she still asked if her dad could really be stronger than Goku, so she has never seen him fight. While Gohan did train for longer than normal in this timeline, he still slacked on his training after the Elder Kai unlocked his potential. Anyway, Piccolo tells Pan that he could be, but he isn't so sure about him currently. She then heads off to kindergarten, so Piccolo returns to his house. Once there, he gets a call from Videl asking him to pick up Pan after school, so she'll be busy preparing her martial arts school for a tournament, and Gohan is busy with his research. Briefly off topic, we never see or hear what Videl's martial arts school is called, but I chose to give it a name in this timeline. I only did this since I thought her martial arts school would become a major focus later, since the other heroes also started martial arts schools in this timeline. Anyway, I decided to call her school the Ram School, as a connection to her name being an anagram of devil, since a ram is a symbol of the devil. Regardless, Piccolo agrees to pick her up after school, so Videl offers to buy him a stuffed animal in return. He then goes to Gohan's house and asks why he can't pick up Pan, which is when Gohan tries to explain his research about ants, but Piccolo wasn't interested. Instead, he asks if research is more important than his family and tells him that he should train in case evil were to show up again. Gohan waves this off and says that things will be fine with Goku there. So, Piccolo throws a punch at Gohan, though he does block it, but he is then hit in the gut by Piccolo. He then changes Gohan's clothing into clothes like his own with a weighted cape. This causes Gohan to collapse under the pressure, but he tells him to leave it on, as he will go pick up Pan. Piccolo then returned home to meditate, but he was suddenly attacked by Gamma 2. Piccolo immediately noticed the Red Ribbon logo and that he was an android. Anyway, Gamma 2 reveals he was sent there to subjugate Piccolo, but he decided to kill him instead, as they began to fight. He believed he killed Piccolo with his blast, so Gamma 2 then leaves. However, Piccolo just managed to dodge his blast and slip away in the dust, so he follows the android to the Red Ribbon Army's new headquarters. Once there, he subdues the guard and takes his uniform, wearing it as a disguise. Piccolo then sneaks into a control room where Magenta, Carmine, Dr. Hedo, and the Gammas were having a meeting, while other soldiers stood guard. Gamma 1 was currently chastising Gamma 2 for not confirming Piccolo's death, since the camera footage showed that he escaped. This angered Magenta, since this could reveal their identity, so they might have to hasten their plans. He ordered Dr. Hedo to finish Cell Max, but he was confident that the Gammas could finish this on their own. Also, since Cell Max's control system wasn't finished, he could easily turn against him if he was activated. After hearing this, Piccolo slips away to call Bulma. As he asks if Goku is around, Bulma reveals that he went to the Sacred World of the Kais, so they don't have a way to get in contact with them. So, he heads to Korin's tower to get some senzu beans while they devise a plan. Up on the Sacred World of the Kai, Goku is sitting down to get his potential unlocked by the old Kai, so he can't get up until hours from now since the ritual takes a while to complete. Back on Earth, Korin gives Piccolo the only 2 senzu beans he had left. Regardless, he can't get in touch with Goku, Gohan doesn't seem to want to take action, and he can't risk jeopardizing the androids in case Dr. Hedo finds their weak points. So, with there not being many options left to defend the Earth, he heads up to the lookout. This time, he went up there for 2 reasons, to ask about getting his potential unlocked, and to get Roshi's help. He knew that Roshi had his potential unlocked by the old Kai, but since they don't have time for that, he would ask if the Dragon Balls would be able to unlock his potential. Roshi said that they could do this, he would just have to upgrade them. After upgrading them, Piccolo would get Roshi to come along and help him, them, as they then head to Capsule Corporation, since Roshi figured Bulma already had the Dragon Balls collected. Once there, they summon Shenron, and Piccolo used his first wish to unlock his latent potential. Shenron grants this wish, and he also notes that he threw in the bonus for Piccolo. Bulma then uses the other two wishes for minor cosmetic changes, though after using them, she realizes they could have used a third wish to wish Goku there. Piccolo chastises her for it, but she points out that he didn't think of it either. So, he and Roshi then head to the Red Ribbon headquarters together. Once they arrive, Roshi subdues the soldier as well, so that he can disguise himself. Anyway, Magenta and Carmine were in a hurry to hasten their plans, so they made a plan to lure in Gohan next. Since they knew he has a daughter, they decided to kidnap her to lure him to the base, so that their identity isn't revealed to the public. Piccolo and Roshi would volunteer to go kidnap them, as they claim to be familiar with her, as they say that they're neighbors of Gohan. Both are allowed to go, but they are paired up with soldier number 15 for the mission. Regardless, Piccolo realizes this could be what it takes to snap Gohan back into action, so he fills Roshi in on his plan. When they arrive at Pan's kindergarten, number 15 is knocked unconscious immediately when he tries to say he's there to take her home. Though she recognizes Piccolo and Roshi by their ki, so they take her and the unconscious number 15 back onto the plane. Once on the plane, Piccolo and Roshi tell her the plan, as they then deliver her to the Red Ribbon base. She then feigns terror in a recording made to lure Gohan in, so Piccolo, Roshi, and number 15 go to deliver the message. As usual, Gohan wasn't bothered by number 15 holding him at gunpoint, but when he is shown the video of Pan, he flies out of the window. He then turns into a Super Saiyan, which creates a crater and causes his house to topple. Now panicking, number 15 ensures that Pan is unharmed, apologizes, and politely asks Gohan to come along. Once they arrive at the base, Gohan rushed towards Pan, who is at the top of the tower behind the soldiers, Magenta, Carmine, and the Gammas. Gamma 1 gets in his way, so they begin to fight, but Gohan is struggling against him while in his base form. Even when he turns into a Super Saiyan, he is still at a disadvantage against the android. Piccolo and Pan then feign a performance where he threatens her, but to his surprise, the Gammas protest this. Regardless, this causes Gohan to go into his potential unleashed form, which finally allows him to gain the upper hand over Gamma 1. Gamma 2 is then ordered into the fight as backup. Piccolo steps up to take him on. He powers up into his new potential unleashed form, but Gamma 2 reveals he was holding back power. He puts Piccolo on the back foot again, as he then knocks him down into a crevice. While he was falling, Piccolo remembered what Shenron said about throwing in a bonus. His skin then turned orange, a sigil appeared on his back, he grew bulkier, and his antenna stands on end. In this form, he manages to take out Gamma 2 with a single punch. Meanwhile, Pan started to fight her way through the Red Ribbon Army soldiers, which she was beating them easily. Since the Gammas lost their advantage, Magenta and Carmine started retreating. Though Pan got in Carmine's way, he tried firing a gun at her, but she dodged all his shots. Carmine's actions outraged the Gammas, as they then realize they've been tricked by Magenta and Carmine, so they stop their fights with Gohan and Piccolo. Regardless, Pan manages to knock out Carmine. However, Magenta slips away, so Dr. Hedo heads out after him. Now that the battle is seemingly over, everyone regroups, with the Gammas following them. Bulma then arrives, as she brought Trunks, Goten, Krillin, and 18 for backup. Piccolo was surprised to see how much Goten and Trunks have grown since he last saw them, but Gohan reminds him about how they stay small until they hit a certain age, which they then have a large growth spurt. Regardless, Gohan asks Piccolo about his new form, and he claims it was because Shenron was generous with the bonus he's given him. Since Gohan asks him to name the form, and he tells Piccolo that he was orange in the form, he decides to call it Orange Piccolo. Inside the base, Magenta was preparing to awaken Cell Max. The Dr. Hedo tried to stop him, so Magenta shot him before he undid more of Cell Max's restraints. The Dr. Hedo still gets up and reminds Magenta about his toughened skin. This is when Magenta reveals that his body was cybernetically enhanced, that as he prepares to fight Dr. Hedo, Hachimaru stings him on the back of the neck. Hachimaru's poison starts to kill Magenta, but he uses his final moments to free Cell Max, so he begins to break free from his chamber. As the sky darkens, Cell Max explodes from beneath the base. So, Piccolo tosses a senzu beam to Gohan, but since he didn't have his glasses on, he failed to catch it and it fell into a crevice. Goten, Trunks, 18, the Gammas, Roshi, Piccolo, and Gohan then charge into battle. But since Gohan was tired from his last fight, he's only able to turn into a Super Saiyan. While they began to fight, Krillin chose to stay back with Bulma and Pan to ensure that nothing happened to them. The Gammas revealed that Dr. Hedo had built a weakness into the top of Cell Max's head. None of the heroes were able to do much against him, and Piccolo's explosive demon wave aimed at Cell Max's weak point was shrugged off. Since the heroes never learned the fusion dance in this timeline, Goten and Trunks can't fuse together. Instead, the other heroes would distract Cell Max for them. This gives him the opening to headbutt his weak point together, thus producing cracks on his head. Gamma 2 then planned to try and sacrifice himself to deliver the final blow, but Roshi stopped him. He originally stayed back to let the next generation like Gohan handle this, but he figured now would be the time to show something he has unlocked. After seeing Fidel manage to combine the Kaioken in the Potential Unleashed form, he got the idea to try and surpass the Potential Unleashed form in his own way. It took him a while to achieve this, but 9 years have passed since Babidi was defeated, so he had a lot of time to work on making this form. As he begins to transform, he is surrounded in a white aura. Behind them, a large light blue dragon made of ki appears, with it looking like Shenron. The name I decided to call this form is basic, but then again so is Orange Piccolo. Regardless, I chose to call this form Draconic Roshi, for obvious reasons. Anyway, with the help of the others, Cell Max is put into a position where Roshi can attack his weak spot. So, he would fire a Kamehameha at Cell Max. This Kamehameha would be entwined with a key dragon behind them, so I called this version of the Kamehameha the Draconic Kamehameha. Unfortunately for Roshi, Cell Max blocked this at the last second, so it only took off one of his arms. Though, this resulted in an explosion, and to escape it, Pan learned how to fly. The enraged Cell Max tried to stomp on Roshi, but this is when Piccolo intervened, as he returned to his orange form. He was holding up Cell Max's foot, though Krillin reminds him of his gigantification technique. After turning into his giant form, he still struggles against Cell Max. Even with Roshi and Piccolo attacking Cell Max together, they weren't doing much to the monster. So, they put their hopes into Gohan, as they say that they will hold off Cell Max long enough for Gohan to get in a good hit on his weak point. After giving Gohan the last Senzu Bean, Piccolo and Roshi begin an uphill battle with Cell Max. But they also receive support from the other heroes, while Gohan charges his power. Then when Cell Max uses an attack that seemingly kills Piccolo and Roshi, Gohan awakens past his Potential Unleashed form and into his Beast form, as his hair turns white and his irises turn red. He then easily withstands Cell Max's attacks, before countering with one of his own. This overwhelms the monster, so he begins to charge a massive ball of energy, before collapsing it into a concentrated attack. This is when Piccolo recovers and Roshi gets back up, as Piccolo holds Cell Max in place. As Piccolo was struggling to hold him in place, Roshi would help restrict Cell Max by using the Key Dragon to wrap itself around the monster. Though, Cell Max just barely manages to launch his energy ball, but Gohan then uses a special beam cannon. This attack pierces both the energy ball and Cell Max's head, as he falls to the ground and explodes, so the heroes then escape from the blast. Pan then rushes up to Roshi, Piccolo, and Gohan, as they revert to their normal forms. While Gohan and Pan embrace, both Roshi and Piccolo congratulate Gohan, but Gohan still mentions that even if Goku was there, they may not have been able to defeat Cell Max. That's when Piccolo tells them that's why it's important for him to stay prepared in case any other threat arises. Anyway, Dr. Hedo was repentant of his actions, as he knew he was being used but he chose not to care, so he decided to turn himself in to the police. However, Bulma offered him and the Gammas places at Capsule Corporation since Dr. Hedo's skin serum could be useful in cosmetic research. Now that the latest threat was taken care of, Pan happily flies around everyone. In the post-credit scene, Goku finishes the ritual with the old Kai, and with the help of Shin, he returns to Earth. Though, when Gohan tells him about the battle he missed, he pouts because he missed out on all the fun of having a good fight. However, once he hears about Gohan's newfound power, he likely drags his son into a sparring match.